Hello, Redzone. It's your favorite Super Bowl champion here. Back at again with another episode of Let's Argue, episode number 15, off-season edition. Really excited for this one. Got a lot of submissions, a lot of good questions, and I mean we have a lot to talk about. There's a lot of stuff that's happened in the league over the last just 3 or so days. Kind of at that ending mark of the cycle, kind of like in the last 80% or last 20% is really what I meant of the cycle. So we're seeing a lot of old veterans moving. This Madden has been one of them where old guys can keep ratings and then some can't. So it's really interesting to see that some of these old guys are still able to play and play at a high level, and then see how much they get shit for, because this is prime time. Ship those good players while you can, get some draft capital. But also, I also think that this isn't even a submission. I'm just going off of my own rant right off the bat. But I find it very interesting in this year's Madden, the contrast between players that came in good, players that are already in Madden that are highly rated, how they've stuck around, because what I think is because of the draft classes being shit. I think that it's not only it's harder to develop these really shitty players. A lot of the guys don't have speed, or I mean, like linebackers can't hit, maybe just like 3 of them. Most corners can't run. So it's kind of interesting. I feel like this Madden has been really weird in that aspect, but it's mostly just because of poor dev. But let's go ahead and get into these submissions. It's going to be a long enough episode if I just need to jump in here. So let's go ahead. Submission number 1 is from Fuck Mike Mayock. What's the bum draft guru Icom gonna do in this year's draft? Come on, man. I bet I have a better draft than he does. Can somebody say overrated? What do I think he's gonna do in this year's draft? Well, he's gonna outdraft you, most likely. But in all seriousness, I think that Icom missed out on Clowney. He's probably gonna go pass rush. He could probably use a corner, but he's probably going to go pass rusher or defensive line, because I think his defensive line is good, but it's kind of on the older side. Probably could use a defensive lineman. Not really enough corners to take someone high enough to... I say pass rusher. Submission number 2 is from God. Interesting. Who do you think are the best GMs? I think that there's a lot of good ones, and then I think there's like a top 3 or 4. I'm going to say my top 3 are... in no order specifically, because I think each one has their own skill set. I think it's Adele, Aston, and Icom. I think that Aston has a very good cap management. He's the most organized in this aspect. I think that he's really good at getting value and also getting things for players that he's not essential to his squad. I think he's good at that. Adele, I think that he's really good at seeing the use in a player, bringing him in and using him. Adele has his ups and downs. He'll have a great draft followed by a draft with not many draft picks. I mean, but when he's on, he's fucking on. He usually, I think that he's good at the draft, but I don't think he's the best at the draft. But I think in the whole off-season scheme of things, I think that he's in the top 3. And then Icom, I think, is the best at bringing in talent. I think he's the best drafter, brings in talent. But there's also 2 aspects of the draft. I think that just drafting good players, Icom is very, very good at. Top 2, probably. And I don't know who the other one would be, but I just think that in any draft, he's usually in the top 3 of the best drafts about every single time. But anyways, I think that that's the strong suit of Icom. What I was going to say was, I think that there's 2 aspects of the draft. There's drafting good players, and then there's drafting players that can be developed into good players. I think that both are important. I think that Icom is probably better at the first, the drafting good players, whereas like I think that Aston's probably better at drafting players with potential and then developing them, and then trading away the guys who started ahead of them. Submission number 3 is from Groupie. Groupie says, "What do I have to do to suck the Super Bowl winner's cock?" I mean, just open your mouth. I'll stick it in. Submission number 4 is from Concerned Vet. How bad was Korn's trade up? How does he think that is a good idea? What do you think the odds are the quarterback he takes at 1 isn't as good as one taken later? Well, the one that he's wanting to take is the Heisman Trophy winner. So he's got Superstar Dev almost locked up. So he's got a quarterback, Superstar Dev. He most likely will get the best one. Even if he doesn't, he gets a Superstar Dev quarterback who's 22, 23. I don't know which one it was. If he does this, then it's going to be really hard to argue that there's any other quarterback better. If there is a quarterback better, he's going to have to kind of be an insane player. That's what I think about that. But then, do I think it's a good idea? I don't. I think that Corn's problem with his team is that it's a low overall team. It doesn't have any stars. It doesn't have, and not just doesn't have any stars. It has low bottom talent. And the players, he just added a shit ton of older players, which is, I mean, it's good. He needs to spin that cap. He needed to spin that cap. I probably wouldn't have waited till one off season and just blew my load on a bunch of shits. Better than nothing, though. So I think that it was really, really bad, the trade up. He gave way too much for just to secure this quarterback, and he's really one of those teams that needs more picks. He's kind of like the Bills, but I would say that the Bills are the Bills are definitely in a better situation because they have their quarterback. But the next draft, Corn doesn't have a first now, so it's really bad for Corn. Really bad. Submission number 5 is from Aspiring GM. What is the most important on-the-field position in Redzone to get a superstar player at? Well, there's not. I would say it really depends on the player. I mean, certain people have different skill sets and different play styles, so it kind of depends on that. Like, for instance, I remember back whenever Aaron was the Jags, not this time, but the previous time, and he has these 2 corners who could just do anything. It made his defense so much better, and he doesn't know what the fuck he's doing. But his defense was so good. I mean, he beat me so many times because I couldn't throw anything but over the middle, and these were in the when you could roam the field a lot better with his middle linebacker. So I mean, you just read the underneath routes, and he could just eat you alive. So he had no idea what he's doing, but shutdown corners made that team very, very good. That's just an example. So I'm going to say that pass rush, though, is the most important. If you put a 99 overall super stud at either defensive end position or outside linebacker position, and they get 30 sacks a season, that, I mean, you just build around that. You get a corner, you get a safety, you get a middle linebacker, your defense is ready to go. Now, if you don't have one of those, you have a corner, you have a safety, a middle linebacker, but you don't have no pass rush. I mean, you're just getting shredded still. So I think pass rush, because it's going to cause negative plays, and not just with sacks, but then also pressure, throwing into pressure, stuff like that. So throwing under pressure. Pass rush is number 1, definitely. But I don't think it's the hardest to get. But it is probably the most important. But that doesn't mean you should spend all your draft capital to get one. Moving on, because I could spend an hour on that. Submission number 6 is from Ambiguous Power Cycle. Oh, I know I didn't ask directly, but man, I needed a restart. I wanted a fair handshake, but you broke my heart. A power cycle, it's all that I needed, but you unpaused the game and proceeded. Can't you read my mind? Don't you know what I think? Damn, I shouldn't have said nothing. Should have just had Clifford restart my shit. Clever. Submission number 7 is from another concerned Titans fan. The Bills say they're all in for the upcoming season. Then why trade one of their best corners? Sure, they gained some draft capital from the Dolphins, but how do you see their season playing out? I mean, yeah, the corner, trading the corner, I don't get that, because you're not going to be able to replace the corner in the draft. In this draft, most likely. Not that good. I mean, he was fast, tall, 99 overall, 97 overall, something like 93. He was in the high 90s. How I see Bills going out, I think that they're going to finish 3rd in the division. High end, very unlikely, but they could maybe be 2nd, maybe beating Jim. I still think the Jets are the cream of the crop there. I think that I think that Corn is going to struggle mightily. The Bills could really use a star I mean, they have name their players. Name 3 players on the Bills. You can name probably their quarterback, that stud corner that they have. Other than that, they're kind of lacking. I would like to see them have a Grigsby type receiver, maybe a stud pass rusher. They won't get a corner in this draft, and that will be as good as the corner they got, especially not with what they got for him. Submission number 8. I'd fuck Mike Mayock. Why won't you? Why don't you do mock drafts? The more, the better. And fuck Mel Kiper Jr. too. I don't do them. I think that I've done them before. I thought it was really cool whenever we did the live draft thing. I like that way better than a mock draft. But I kind of feel like those are better if you have a mock draft to go with it. So that's something I would really like to do in the future. But I probably not this cycle. Why don't I do mock drafts? Well, there's a few reasons. Number one, it is time consuming, but I think the most important factor is that I usually don't look at the names and the talent and all that until the off season. So I do my scouting based on what positions of need I think, and then I'll kind of go from there. Usually try to get all the first round guys scouted, so at least if someone drops a second, I know if there's a good guy there. Most of the time, the first round picks are going to be better than anything else. So, and on top of that, I don't want to give anyone a cheat sheet. And I don't think it's realistic to go into the draft pretending like this really shitty player is good. So if he's projected, if he's a first round projected player, but he's third round talent, I'm not gonna go in there and be like, oh yeah, he's fucking. So, but I also don't want to give someone who doesn't know these things a heads up when I've put in the work. So, submission number 9 is from my pickled pickle smooches, more pickles than pickle smoocher can smooch. And he says, or she, why does Silk come at you so much? What's the deal with that? You poke his lady or something? Well, I actually don't know. He just doesn't like me. I mean, that's fine. Just people don't like people sometimes. He doesn't like me. That's fine. Whatever. There's nothing I can do about it. I guess. I mean, no, I did not touch his woman. Submission number 10 is from Pinlac? Pinlac? I have no idea what this is. When is he gonna put a ring on it? Who? What? What? I don't know. Okay, so moving on. Submission number 11 is from Period. Just a period, not the word period. Is Cave the greatest red zone player to never win the big game? Yeah, he's in these. If he's not it, he's really close. Top 2, top 3 maybe. Over the history of the red zone, he's one of the longest tenured members. And he hasn't won one. He's had really successful seasons, been to the championship games. I'm going to say yes. He has a longevity of winning. He's had up and down cycles before, but in most cases, I mean, he's a high winning percentage coach. I'm going to say Cave. I would say Ramesu is really high up there as well. Submission number 12. RZ's adolescence. That's clever. Adolescence, like adolescence, but with Adele's name in it. How does the commissioner allow such a bad trade to pass the trade committee? Which one are we talking about? I mean, we've had a shit ton of trades, and a lot of trades have been kind of one-sided. I really don't know what he's talking about. Maybe he's talking about, if he's talking about the corn and turtles trade, that one didn't have to go through the trade committee. That was just pick for picks. I don't know what he's talking about. Submission number 13 is from What the Ginger? Should Weed have given a free sim? I'm sorry. Should Weed have been given a free sim to win in the AFC Championship game? Rules state it should have been a restart. No? Explain, please. Well, I'm not the commissioner. I didn't make the rules. I do think you're right, though, in that the rules do state that and all that. I think there was... I think that... there was extenuating circumstances. We were trying to get the offseason going. If that game didn't happen, I probably wouldn't be able to play. I mean, we was like 3 o'clock or 2 o'clock in the morning already at that point. The game cut off at 30-0. There's a lot of shit to go with that. Yeah, it was a mess. Submission number 14, Ram U, with Ram leaving and not back yet. Does this affect his team selection next cycle? So he is back now, and he said he's gonna play out the cycle. So I'm gonna say because of that, it's gonna probably affect his team selection because he might not be picking a team. I hope that I'm wrong. I hope he changes his mind. But based on that, he's probably not gonna select a team. So I'd say that way, yeah. Who are you? Jack in the Bag says, has Jake completely lost his mind? He never had one. He never had it. He never found it to begin with. So, but I didn't hear the rant. I wish I would have. That'd been cool. Submission number 16 is from Predictor Pete. Khalil Mack makes the Packers and the AFC North favorites again. Your thoughts? I think so. It doesn't make him a complete team. I mean, but Moji's teams are barely ever complete. So I think that Khalil Mack is going to make a huge impact for that team. I think that they're going to win the NFC North, and I think that Khalil Mack's going to have 30 sacks. Plus 30 sacks. He's going to have more than 30 plus. I think he's gonna be in the discussion for NFC player or defensive player of the year. And I think that Moji will win the division. I've already said that, but I'm going to keep pushing that. I think he's going to win it. He's back at it. He cares now. Maybe he cares now. I don't know. I mean, he seems to be active in the chat again. Submission number 17 is from Fam. I love how the league came together to hate on Greco outside of rookie awards. For me, personally, I didn't vote for him because of Lefty's use of the aggressive ball carrier all season. Thoughts? I think it's admirable that you didn't vote for him because of that. And I still would have voted for him. It's not against the rules. But I do like that you didn't because of it. But, I mean, he won it. He had great stats. He was on a great team. And, I'm not a fan of Lefty's use of the aggressive ball carrier. No one is. I mean, except for, I guess, the people who use it. But it's whatever. Like I said, I still would have voted for him. I wish Lefty wouldn't have done it that way. Submission number 18 is from Hole in a Mountain. Cave's negativity needs to see the door. I almost said doctor. See the door. His piss-poor attitude for the remainder of the cycle ruins it for the guys who are still having fun. Grow up, big man. He's turned into a bully. The goddamn bully. I mean, maybe he's just going through something. I don't know. We all kind of go through spurts. Submission number 19 is from Concerned Titans fan. We got Clowney, yes! I'm so excited. I already ordered my jersey. Grade the move. He paid him a ludicrous amount of money. Insane amount of money for an old player. But having said that, I've been saying, or even early in this podcast, that old players are sticking around, man, and they're still able to play. So he paid premium money for a premium player. And this one's a lot different than the Bakhtiari pickup. I mean, he went out and got the best lineman because his line sucked. But he was old. He's not even as good as he. I mean, he's already took 4 or 5 overall hit. But specifically on Clowney, I'm going to grade the move a B, a solid B. He paid a lot of money, but he had the money to spend. A. He needed a pass rusher. He didn't need it, but now he's got one. He's got Hardley, whatever the hell his name is. I can't believe I can't remember his name. Anyways, the other pass rusher. He's good by himself. You add Clowney, in your division. He's now going to see the Texans twice. He's going to want to kick the Texans' ass. He's going to want to kick my ass. 2 stud pass rushers, 2 of the best in the league, on the same team. It's going to be a fucking nightmare. So in that aspect, great move. The money is high in his age. Those 2 things, he'll get one great season out of him for sure. Same thing he did with Bakhtiari, only Bakhtiari's this is probably his season before he goes from I think he's 88, 89. He was a 93. He's probably going to go down to an 86, 85. So his team is going to dwindle quickly. In terms of team building, I think that it was just, I see this player that I like, I'm going to go throw as much money as I can. Makes his team scary. I hate that it wasn't planned. It was just, like I said, see him, throw the money. But other than that, it's a B move just because of money. But it is scary. Submission number 20 is from Johnny Appleseed. Worst and best off-season moves. Go! I'm going to start with the worst. Bills trading White for pennies was the worst, I think. Because you're giving away a premium player on a team that doesn't have many premium players for a low amount of draft capital to a contender. The contender part, I guess, doesn't really matter. If you get good capital, I don't really give a shit who the contender, if it's a contender or not. You're getting the capital. You don't have a way to replace it. Not in this draft. There's not another stud corner. I mean, there's gonna be some. I think there's some good zone corners that you could play that are gonna have like 87, 88 speed, 89 maybe top end. So that's cool, but you're not gonna be able to replace that guy, especially with what you got. And there really was no reason. You're not cap strapped. It just seems like you had an old player trying to get rid of him without really thinking about it. Best is kind of difficult because there's so many like big money or high draft capital trades where there's everyone just tossing around first round picks left and fucking right. And I like value picks. I like giving up a second round pick for a first round pick value player. Not completely trade raping somebody, but that's the kind of picks I like. But I'm going to say, based on the best offseason moves, I'm going to say the best offseason trade for sure was, I think, the Ramsey going to the Cardinals. Because the Cardinals are giving up good draft capital, but they're giving it up for a 99 overall corner. Super fast. You cannot draft a Ramsey. I think there's only been one who's comparable to him that's been drafted this cycle. So you have the top 3 corner in the league, probably top number 1 corner in the league. On the NFC Champions team, they gave up a safety, which that's a hole that they're going to need to fill. I think they signed Farley, who's not even close to being like a good player. But there's a hole there that's been kind of band-aided because of this. But yeah, I think that trade is pretty balanced. The Jags get out of this contract, and they get some money back from that, and then also they get some draft capital and a safety, and that team needed a safety in the worst way. Submission number 20 is from Friend of Ernest. Did he deserve least fun to play? Yeah, I heard a lot of rumbles, even before I played him, and I know how Ernest plays. I think he does. I don't know if that's a hot take. I mean, obviously it's not. He won least fun to play. I think that he did deserve it. When it came down to it, he was willing to do the things to make it happen, and that's not always what you should do. I've talked about it before in this podcast. Do it in a sim way. If you need to win, that's what we do. We're trying to win in a sim way. Don't just fucking. At least with me, I'm not gonna go too far in that, but I do think he deserved it. He might not have won my least fun, but it was the Super Bowl and I won it, so I'm kind of ecstatic about all that. He wouldn't have won it on that, but maybe if it was during the season, he could have. Submission number 22. Cock Gobbler says, "Hang it up, Icom. You couldn't even place second or third in media with your bullshit draft takes or shitty mocks. I'll be the draft guru needs instead." Fuck off. What the fuck? I'm not even gonna entertain this. This is stupid. Submission number 23. Seahawks Sam. Why did the Seahawks trade Kadarius DeMar? I don't know. Ever since the first time I saw him put DeMar into the trade chat, I'm like, what the fuck? Because he is the pinnacle he is the player that if I could draft a quarterback, if Luck's done, he retires. The quarterback that I would want is this one. First off, he's faster than any any quarterback that I've seen come out. He's got 88 speed. He's super fast. He's got a cannon. I think he's got 89, 90 something. He might have higher. I can't recall. I think he has a pretty good arm. He's got a good accuracy. He's like an 87 overall superstar depth, 27 years old. There is no reason in hell. He is the one, man. He is the one that I would want. If I was building a team and I had to pick from the players in the red zone, he would be my quarterback, hands down. Like, I'm picking him. Luck. I mean, I'm saying if Luck's not available, by the way, he's the guy. He's the guy I would want to build my team around. I don't understand why he wants to ship him. There's not going to be a quarterback higher rated right now, and probably not till next season of this class. He could pick one of those, but none of them are going to be as dynamic. This guy can run faster than all the other quarterbacks except for Lamar Jackson. He's got accuracy. He's got dev. He's got youth. He's who I'd want. I don't get it. Maybe it's injuries, but that's a different story. Submission number 24 is from Bill. Your favorite draft food? I order pizza every draft that I'm home. When I'm at work, I usually am just eating like fucking crackers or something. But for sure, tonight I will be getting pizza, even if Nick bails on me. He was supposed to be buying me a pizza, but let's see how that goes. Submission number 25, and the final submission of the pod. It's from Cap Casualty Carl. Talk about how terrible the Ravens have managed their cap. Oh, it's been bad, and we've talked about it in other pods. That you have to have a plan. You can't just you see the shiny thing and throw all your money at it. Landon Collins was an awful contract, and he's paying for it now. He decided, I want the best strong safety. I'm going to pay him the most money, and the rest of his team is gonna be hurt because of it. I mean, looking at his team, he's lucky that he did get Odell. Odell's probably going to be all right for another season or two. Lamar Jackson's still young, still throw it. But the rest, kind of like we did with the Bills, name another player besides Landon Collins and Lamar Jackson. Oh, and Odell. Right? Those are just huge names. Maybe you say, okay, Marlon Murphy or Humphrey. Other than that, okay, name one more. I guess that's not fair. But his team is depleted of talent. He has no linebackers. His linebackers are old and non-existent. His defensive line, old. He's got Kenny Clark, but how long will that be? So I think that it's gonna be even worse next offseason. It's gonna be even worse. So he's done an awful job. You gotta just have a plan, and you can't throw money and stuff just because you like the player. It gets you into a lot of problems, and it's just not good. And I respect the teams. Like this is what makes you, I think, good GM. I respect discipline. I respect plans. I respect what's the word? I respect people that have it all laid out. And I know that I just said plan, but I mean in an organized. That's the word I'm looking for. Organized. So, and that's why I think Aston's one of the top 3, because he does all those things. So it's been really bad. He's got a lot of high paid players who a lot of times just have speed, and that's about it. His offensive line is lacking. So I mean I think I'll end it there with him. So it's been a great pod. Hope you guys have a great draft. I hope I have a greater one, but I hope that you guys have a good one too. And I will see you in week 1. Later, fellas.